Chelsea against West Ham as the Blues take on the Hammers at Stamford Bridge in our aim to get back to winning ways. But we are missing Tammy Abraham, who at this point is injured indefinitely. So the question is whether Michy Batshuayi is a good enough replacement or not. Hello there guys, and welcome back to Blues Fans TV for another preview of mine on this channel, for another Premier League preview of mine, as Chelsea are to take on West Ham tomorrow afternoon at Stamford Bridge, with the kickoff being at 3 PM UK time. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it because I'm looking forward to hopefully Chelsea getting back to winning ways, because Man City wasn't an awful performance but was a poor result. Of course we lost, and then Valencia was a really bad performance in my opinion in the grand scheme of things. But we kind of got a decent enough result that obviously leaves the whole Champions League, question to be just decided in the last game at home to Lille. Now we've got it all in our own hands, so that is good. But now I do hope that we can get back to winning ways. Of course, if you are new to Blues Fans TV, please be sure to subscribe. And also make sure you drop a like on this video. That would be massively appreciated. But now, enough waffling about, and let's just get straight into the preview. And that, of course, as always, is by starting off by speaking about our opposition. And that, of course, is West Ham, are the Hammers. And they currently sit in 17th in the Premier League table, 3 points above the relegation zone, with 13 points, just 13 points from 13 games so far. So not exactly great. Those 13 points have come from 3 wins, 4 draws, and 6 defeats, alongside a goal difference of -7, scoring 16, but conceding 23. And to be honest, their form is shocking. Like, it's honestly shocking. Frankly, it's a bit surprising that Manuel Pellegrini hasn't been sacked yet. I mean, they haven't won a game in any competition since September 22nd, so over a month. Okay, it was against Manchester United that win, so fair play, who we couldn't beat in 2 tries already this season. But still, it's over, sorry, not 1 month. It's over 2 months since their last win, and even their last draw, a 1-1 draw against Sheffield, was over a month ago. So, they've really not been doing well. Okay, of course, there's been an international break between, in the last few weeks. So, over a month ago seems more than it actually is. But still, their last 3 games have been defeats. And, like I said already, only 3 wins so far this season. One of them came against United, I said that as well. But the other 2 have come against 2 of the 3 sides that are below them. So, Norwich and Watford. And those were even back in August. So it's not like they beat anyone that's any good except United, and arguably they're not any good because they lost to bloody Astana in Europa League yesterday. What is a bit odd though is that, okay, they had the 3-0 loss to Burnley away in the meantime, but the last 2 home games, around the Burnley game before and after, were 2 3-2 defeats, and both times they went 3-0 down and then still got 2 back, but it wasn't enough to still, rescue a point. First, that happened against Newcastle at the London Stadium, and, then the 3-0 loss to Burnley in between, away from home, and then most recently in Jose Mourinho's first game in charge of Tottenham, the same thing happened. Spurs go 3-0 up, and then West Ham almost managed to rescue a point. Actually had a goal disallowed in like the 89th minute or so, and then still made it 3-2 in the 96th minute. So, it's a bit crazy. So let's hope we don't get ourselves in that tricky situation, because I'm not sure whether we wouldn't be just about silly enough to actually concede that equaliser in the end. So, let's not take them too. Let's just not take it too lightly and say, oh, it's been in poor form, not picked up many points at all recently, 3 defeats in a row, just not doing well, just almost in the relegation zone. Let's not take them too lightly, because I personally don't think they're quite as bad as their results may suggest, but they're not in a good spot at all. Like, we have to admit that as well. But they do have a few danger men. They will always have a few danger men. Their summer signing, Sebastian Aller, their striker. Felipe Anderson is a good player. Yarmolenko, the right winger most of the time, has 3 goals as well already this season. Snodgrass can be a good player as well. Although, what I will have to say as well, their backup goalkeeper to the injured Fabianski, who is a great goalkeeper, but their backup goalkeeper, Roberto, the Spaniard, is a clear weak point in their side at the moment. Like, he's been making so many mistakes. He's been looking really shaky, really just no confidence at all, making a lot of mistakes. He's a real weak point in their team. And to be honest, we should kind of be looking at just peppering him with shots sometimes. Not do like a City or an Arsenal of back in the day, or a Barcelona, where we have to walk the ball into the net. Sometimes just pepper the guy, because he's really low in confidence. So maybe that is something that we could exploit. Formation-wise, they do use a mix of a 4-2-3-1 or 4-1-4-1. You can really debate whether it's always the same, to be honest, because you can debate whether Noble actually plays significantly higher up the pitch than Declan Rice does or not. So it's pretty much the same system throughout the season, which is, I guess, interesting considering how poor, their results and performances have been recently. Surprising that Pellegrini hasn't tried to change it up, but I guess it is what it is. They do still like to have the ball, even though they're 17th in the table. They are a ball-playing team. They have a ball-playing manager. I mean, Pellegrini won the Premier League with Man City, so they do still have a manager that thinks that way, and in most of their games, they do have more possession than their opponent. Not against the bigger teams, fair enough. And it won't be a 65% plus possession, game for Chelsea. It won't be that. All in all, I wouldn't take West Ham too lightly. I said that a couple of times already earlier in the video. They almost always manage to squeeze in a goal or two, like I said, with those 3-2 defeats at home. And if we're not clinical, that can be a big problem. We're not the best defensively. We do have our defensive frailties at times that, no one can debate that. So, if we're not clinical and take our chances, because I'm confident we will create chances. But if we don't take them, we could be in a bit of trouble here, and we really don't want to, drop any sort of points against West Ham. A win is the only thing that is good enough in that game tomorrow. Of course, we are the favourites. We simply have to win, like I just said. But let's not take them too lightly anyway. But to be honest, that was really it from West Ham, or about West Ham. And now let's get into Mr. Frank Lampard's pre-match press conference. And of course, that was started with, Frank Lampard being asked about and then speaking about Tammy Abraham's injury that he picked up against Valencia on Wednesday. Now, of course, it was in a duel in the box, and then he just landed awkwardly with his hip on top of the guy's knee, and he hurt himself, had to come off. And after the game, we got some good news that he said it's not as bad as they initially thought, because while he walked around the pitch, I guess from when he left the pitch itself next to the goal and walked back to where the dugout is, he was then actually put on a stretcher. But after the game, he was interviewed and said, "No, I can walk around now," and the pain has eased up a lot. But Lampard today said that there is still quite a lot of pain, and at the moment, we just don't know how long he will actually be out for. Hence why the title and the intro out for out indefinitely, because we just don't know at the moment. Lampard said on Monday we should know more, and then we will kind of know more about the extent of the injury and how long he will be out for. I mean, Lampard then also quickly, said, "Oh, yes, full trust in Michy and Olivier Giroud," and later on, said that Michy BATSHUAYI has had really great work ethic, even though he's been getting so few minutes, obviously less minutes than he would like, but his work ethic has been really good, been training really, really well. So, let's be honest, it will be Michy BATSHUAYI that starts up front, because Giroud hasn't been seeing the day of light recently. So, it will be Michy BATSHUAYI that starts instead of him, even though some of you might not be a fan of that. Then Lampard also said that overall he's actually not concerned with with Chelsea defensively, which is interesting. He said he didn't like the last 20 minutes against Valencia, but also said the way we play, being aggressive, being on the front foot, there's just going to be times when you're tested defensively. There's going to be times when you're hitting a break, when there are gaps for the opponents to exploit. That's just going to happen. And then he actually said that he's pretty happy with the balance of defence and attack that we have, which personally I found baffling, because I thought that wasn't good enough at all, both against Valencia and against Man City. Against Man City it was good for the first half an hour, but for the rest of the game it wasn't really. And against Valencia it really wasn't for the entirety of the game, quite frankly. And there have been other games where that has been a problem as well. So I was a bit surprised by him saying that. Lampard then also followed that up by stating that Antonio Rudiger is getting closer to being ready to play. He's kind of having a bit of a mini pre-season now, simply because he hasn't played for so long now. And then lastly, Lampard said, Lampard basically just backed Kepa, saying that he's happy with him. And for the instances this season where he could have done a bit better, the Spaniard is the first one to put his hands up and, is the first one to try and improve on those kind of things as quickly as possible. So let's just hope we can get his confidence in, especially his passing back, because, his playing out from the back really hasn't quite been good enough in the last two games. And, that's meant to be one of his strengths. So let's hope we can go back to being more confident in that and just better at that, because then we do have a really good goalkeeper on our hands. And let's never forget that Kepa is still really, really young. But that was it from Frank Lampard's press conference. And now let's get into Chelsea. And of course, mainly speaking about the lineup that I think should play, and the lineup that I think Frank Lampard will field tomorrow against West Ham. And of course, Kepa will still be in goal. It won't be really Caballero. And the two centre-backs coming straight into that, because, it's a big talking point, was a big talking point after Valencia. Like, it has to be Tomori and Zuma. We have to go back to that. There's no question about it. At right back, I would personally have Reece James again. I think he deserves that after the performance against Valencia. Didn't do well for the goal we conceded for the first goal, but other than that, was probably our best player on the night. And at left back, Emerson would actually be my preferred left back against a team like West Ham, but I wouldn't exactly be fuming if Usby started, but I would just prefer the more attacking option in Emerson, really. And then in midfield, now, even though it's the number 10 kind of, but still part of midfield, isn't it? Mason Mount has to start. There's no two questions about it. It's not even a debate to be had. Mason Mount has to start. Let's stop this. the only debate we can have is which of the other three that played the last two games should be dropped for him. Because the way it was against Valencia especially, but also against City, it just doesn't work. Kante is way too far forward consistently, way too far out wide to the right as well. Like, if you thought Sarri played N'Golo Kante out of position, Lampard has gone like another 2 steps further than that. Like, it's ridiculous how high up the pitch Kante, was for a large majority of that game against Valencia, and how far out wide right he was. Like, that can't work. Like, you do play Kante, and then you still leave Jorginho and Kovacic as the two trying to deal with the balls that are flying past them when we're being hit on the counter, when that's exactly what Kante is good at. Like, Sarri didn't go that mental. Like, it's ridiculous. I don't want to see that anymore. Like, sorry, Lamps, but I don't want to see that anymore. With how well it has worked against a lot of teams, especially against those mid and bottom, of the table teams, I would actually just go with Jorginho and Kovacic again in this one. I know I said this already for the Valencia game, but I would go with that and not start Kante. I'm sorry, even if that will make some of you call for me to be beheaded again. I think, it's worked so far. All the other solutions would be a bit of an experiment. Okay, we beat Palace with Kante and Kovacic. I get it. But all the other games, and Jorginho to me is so important. So he needs to start. And then it's about dropping Kovacic or Kante. And I think against West Ham at home, it's better to drop Kante than it is to drop Kovacic. I'm sorry. Even if Kante is overall ability-wise, our best player, and one of only 1 or 2 world-class players in our squad, the way we play against a small team, I just don't think it fits it as well as Kante and as Kovacic and Jorginho do. I'm sorry. That's just what I think. So that is my midfield 3. Like I said, Mount as the number 10, and then Kovacic and Jorginho kind of behind him in a midfield 2. If you want to make it a 4-2-3-1, that's what I personally go with. Then coming to the wingers, really they have to stay the same. They still have to be Pulisic and Willian on the right, Pulisic on the left, Willian on the right. I mean, Hudson-Odoi wasn't mentioned in a press conference, which was a bit surprising to me, but I can confirm that he has been in training and is over his injury, as much as you can be from training. Like, you can only fully be over an injury with, basically playing games as well. And you have to be careful with hamstring injuries. So, I would personally bring Hudson-Odoi off the bench and not start him, even if he would be able to start. I wouldn't do that. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And then up front, well, Tammy is out. Hopefully not for too long, but he is out, for the time being, indefinitely, as I put in the title. And you know me, there is no way in hell I would start Olivier Giroud, so Michy Batshuayi it is. Michy Batshuayi it has to be. And then, as for the game, I'm kind of going to say actually something a little bit different to usual, because I really need us to kill this game early on this time around. We had a tough and tiring game midweek in Valencia, while West Ham had the week off. And that will show towards the end of the game. I think it will. And, seeing at the last, looking at the last 2 home games at least, 3-0 down and still getting 2 goals back, with us being tired already as it is, probably going into that game a little bit and then being fresh, we don't want to have that effect. And even if it doesn't show against West Ham already, the more we have to grind the game out late on against West Ham, and whenever we have to do that in games, it will have a long-term effect, and it will show in one of the upcoming games. So let's kill the game off early and then just, see it out at the end, because, we have the quality in the team to do so. But we just need to start quickly. Press them to pieces for the first 20 to 30 minutes. And ideally get at least 2 goals. And then from then on, with the players we have, like I mentioned, we should be able to control the rest of the game. Maybe get a third, but most importantly, don't give away silly set pieces. Corners, free kicks, throw-ins. Don't give them those. Because those are where we struggle from, and those are where we, sloppy with. And also don't give them silly counter-attacking opportunities. Don't give them those, because sometimes we do struggle with those as well. Other than that, it is the same as ever. It really is. I mean, we need to press well, but smartly, not over the top. Smart pressing, but good pressing. Move a lot, move quickly, keep the passing crisp and precise, and then, of course, take our chances. We need to take our chances, while defensively, of course, being 100% focused for the entire game, for the entire 90-plus minutes. Because, in my opinion, it won't be easy. As bad as their form has been, as bad as West Ham's form has been, let's not underestimate them just because of that. Let's not underestimate them just because of that. I think it will be a difficult game, but my score prediction is going to be a 3-1 victory. I do think we are going to get the win. Quite possibly a 3-0 lead and then a silly goal conceded late on. But I would happily take that. Because the most important thing is that we bounce back from the defeat at City and from the poor performance against Valencia. Get back into the winning rhythm, and West Ham at home is a good place to start with that. But yeah, to be honest, guys, that has really been it from me. I really do appreciate all of you guys that tuned in. Like I said in the beginning, please be sure to subscribe to Blues Fans TV if you haven't already. Drop a like on this video if you enjoyed it, especially if you made it this far. Just go down below and drop a like. I'd massively appreciate that. And lastly, of course, leave me all of your thoughts ahead of the game down in the comment section below. Your predicted lineups, your predicted scoreline, and anything else you have to add. All of it down in the comment section below. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, and I'll see you when I see you.